Good morning and welcome in. My name is Helen Jennings. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator based here in the UK. And I'm dropping things all over the floor. And we come in of a morning and do a bit of crafting and a bit of stamping and a bit of creating, and it is very lovely to have you joining me. So do come on and say hello. Do share this out with other people that you think might be interested in spending a little while with us, creating things, generally chatting, chewing the cud, and getting creative on this beautiful sunny morning. The dog's out in the garden enjoying the sunshine. He just heard me talking about him and turned around and gave me a look as if to say, "You're talking about me." So morning, Emma. Lovely to see you here. So I've got my cup of tea, and I've got this Butterfly Wishes stamp set. It's been another one that's been a little while since I've played with this one. A really pretty stamp set. Two of the stamps in it, this one here and this one here, do actually coordinate with the Butterfly Duet Punch. So we are going to be able to have a play with that as well. So they do play nicely together. And the other thing I've got out, I must give my bag a bit of a wash. It's been kicking around the craft room floor and it's got a little bit grubby, but is the Stamparatus. So we'll be having a bit of a play with that as well today. And the other thing we're going to be using is the Stamping Right markers. Now we have a few colouring tools, as I'm sure many of you know. We have our stamping blends that we often use, which are the alcohol-based markers in the Stampin' Up range. Beautiful. The alcohol markers were originally developed for the cartoon artists, so manga and all of those sorts of things was where they originated from, but the craft market discovered them, loved them, and has lapped them up ever since. So hence they have moved over into the craft market. And the reason that we love the stamping blends, let's grab a couple of stamping blends, is that they are the colour in them, the pigment in them is sort of sitting in alcohol, in solvent. So what happens is that they blend together. So when you use a normal felt tip, so when you were a child, or if you use normal felt tips, when you're colouring, laying down colours, you get like those streaks of colour where the sort of pigment is laying on top of each other. Whereas with the alcohol markers, you don't get that, because as the name suggests, the colours blend in together. So you can do shading and blend them and mix them all around and put light and dark and shade those out, as you'll have seen me do lots of times. And for our colours, for each of our colours, we get a light and a dark, so that we can do that. And if you find the right colours, you can shade other colours in with them. It's useful to have a grey if you want to make something darker, and we've got a colour lifter if you want to take colour out, but that all sits in alcohol. But then we have our Stamping Right markers. Now our Stamping Right markers are the markers, these were the original ones really, but they're the same ink in here as we get in our stamp pads. So it's that same water-based ink that we get in our markers, that we get in our stamp pads. And we get, although the stamping blends aren't available in every colour, the Stamping Right markers generally are. As long as they're not out of stock, they are available in every colour. So for every ink pad you got, you can have a stamping blend colour that go with it. And these two have their benefits. And one of the really lovely things about Stamping Right markers, as well as being able to write with them and all of those sorts of things, and generally colour with them, is that you can colour direct to your stamp with these. So rather than inking your stamp up with your ink pad, you can ink your stamp up with your marker. Now I've noticed, and I haven't noticed in the current catalogue, but certainly in the new catalogue, at the beginning there's sort of like a little index of some sort of simple techniques that we might use, and they talk about this colouring direct to your stamp with your markers, and they call it markering. I've never heard it referred to as markering before, but it describes what it does on the tin. So we're going to be doing some markering this morning with our Butterfly Wishes stamp set, and we've done that before. A really nice thing about it is when you're using your markers to colour in a stamp, it does mean you can have multi-tones and multicolours on one stamp, and by using the Stamparatus that makes that whole process much easier. So that's enough whittering on. Morning, Charlotte. Let's get playing. So I'm going to put my Stampin' Right markers to one side. I am going to say tomorrow, I did say right at the end of yesterday, but some people might already have popped off. If you're watching this, I thought I'd do an all request Friday tomorrow. So if you have a particular stamp set that's carrying over, that you think is carrying over, that you would like me to play with tomorrow, that you'd like to see some more inspiration with, then give it a shout out, and if I've got it, I'll use it. Or if there's a particular technique you'd like to see, or particular card fold or something, give me a shout out. Let's have some ideas from the floor for what we're going to do tomorrow. If you can't think of anything, I'll come up with something, but I just thought, well, let's see what everybody would like to have a play with tomorrow. So we will do that, but for now let's get started with our card, and my starting point is going to be some Whisper White card that I'm going to cut down to make a panel to start with that we can work on, and I think we'll go 13.9 by 9.5. And I'm going to take this long stamp here that's got this sort of branch with the leaves and the blossom on, and you could already see that with that stamp, if I was to take one colour and stamp it all, there isn't really one colour that's going to make a great deal of sense. I'm going to have to go in and add in some different colours somewhere along the line. If I do it brown for the branch, we've got brown flowers, leaves. If I do it green for the leaves, we've got green flowers. If I do it the colour of the flowers, the branches are that colour. So you can see how it's sort of like, well, I don't know that I really want that one stamp to be all of the same colour. I'm going to just move my magnets for a minute, because these are they are foam stamps, so they don't need that extra foam pad in there, but I will grab a piece of grid paper to pop in there, just because I can then scribble on it if I want to, and make a mark as to where our starting point is. So I'm going to make a mark just there. It's always useful to have your starting point marked. And we'll put our magnets on to anchor that down. Let's turn that round so that the excess bit of the ducky duck tape is moving away. If you buy a Stamparatus, your Stamparatus magnets don't come automatically with ducky duck tape on. I've added that just to make it easier to lift them on and off and pull them apart should they decide that they're going to clip together, which is never a good thing. Morning Glenda, morning Pam. So I am going to, actually I'm going to bring that down here, that branch. So we've decided where we want it on our card. Let's pick it up. And now this is where our Stampin' Right markers come in. Let me put that stamp set just there. a slurp of that tea. And colours, let's have a look. I'm going to go let's have a granny apple green. I do like granny apple green. For our branch piece, I think we'll have some soft suede. And then I'm going to go Highland Heather for for that sort of piece of, for the blossom. So let's take our Stampin' Right marker, and we want, so you've got on your markers, you've got two ends. You've got a thin line this end and you've got a thick line this end. We're going to go thick line because we want that brush end on that marker. And I'm going to go over and I'm going to colour in where my branch comes. And if I've missed a bit or I need to go in and do a bit more, I will be able to, because we've anchored down our piece of card, we've anchored down our stamp. So there we've got our initial trunk. Let's come in. I'm going to move that up just slightly so I can see this picture just here, because that will give me a nice sort of guide as to where we need to come with the different parts, which is flower, which is leaves. As I say, we can go back in later and go, that looks like a bit of a gap, that looks like that needs to be a bit more sort of flowery. So we're getting a bit of a build up there. I'm going to do the flower bits now, and then if I do feel there's bits I've missed that I need to go back into, do this a bit at a time. That doesn't look, that looks as if that's quite dry actually, so we'll have a change of plan and we'll go Gorgeous Grape. Now this is a distinctive stamp, so you do automatically get sort of the different shadings and things on the stamp. So you can see how you've got lighter bits in the middle and darker bits around the edge. It's not a solid stamp. You can also do this sort of a technique with the dauber as well if you want to. See how you've got that multi-tonal look to those flowers. It's quite pretty. I'm thinking actually there's a bit this one sticking out that end. Is it that bit? Oh, yeah, that's better. And then we've got these buds at the top here. I think I'm going to do a bit more. The leaves just there. Okay, so there's our sort of first run of a branch with blossom on. What I actually want to do now is I want this blossom to come off of this branch just here. And this is where having it on a Stamparatus works so well. But, oh, because I can, she says, then moves it. Lay that down there, and hopefully we've got a bit of shading there, but that's fine because that's where we've just we haven't cleaned our stamp because we didn't need to, because we're going to go over and do exactly the same thing again. So let's come in with our trunk, with our branch. Not quite a trunk, is it? If that hasn't quite reached there, which it hasn't, we'll just fill that in a little bit. And then we'll come in with leaves. Let's do these a bit at a time so they don't dry out. You can do this, of course, on a block. It's not so easy to do it like this. You would have to do all of your colouring in one go. And then the secret is you'd have to give it a good huff afterwards. And the reason that you huff is that because the ink might have dried out slightly on your stamp, by huffing on it, you're putting moisture back into the ink. Let's just do our leaves at the top here. So you can see with this stamp set that you don't get a solid image. It is that sort of 3D look that we get with the distinctive stamps. You've already got the stamp itself gives you some texture in it. So our blossom is sort of almost quite speckly. And what are we missing? These ones. I'm actually going to come in with some green just here. Because I can. Okay. So there is our sort of blossom on the branches. I think we'll perhaps put our greeting on while we're here. Let's go for birthday wishes. If you do happen to follow me on Pinterest, if you don't follow me on Pinterest, then go and find me. I'm Love-a-Duckie on Pinterest as well. I'm in the middle, you might have seen, some of you may have seen, that I'm in the middle of doing a week-long business course, online business course at the moment. Which is working quite well because it's coming out from the States. So the first talk is always at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and goes through till about 10, 11 at night. So I'm sort of not interfering with anything that I'm doing with you ladies here. think we'll have birthday. Sorry, going off board. So one of the things I did a talk. You listened to a talk yesterday about Pinterest. So that sent me off to do a long overdue task, which is to tidy up and revamp. Hello, Sharon. My Pinterest boards. So if you do happen to follow me on Pinterest, I am busy revamping my boards and moving things around a bit and making it a little bit more user-friendly and attractive, hopefully. So do join me on Pinterest. There, so we did that as multicoloured as well. So we've got our birthday in the gorgeous grape and our wishes in granny apple green. So looking rather lovely. I have got some Highland Heather and gorgeous grape card just here. So what I'm going to do, let's make this into a card base. So I'm going to trim that down to 14.9, swing it round and score it at 10.5. The other thing you might have noticed yesterday, the thing I was working on yesterday, is I'm doing a big launch event. I'd often have an open house type event for launching of the catalogue. Obviously that is not going to be an option. I'm trimming this card at 14.4 by 10. So what I'm going to do is an online event. So it's going to be housed on some on my Facebook, well, some on my Facebook page. All of it will be found on my Facebook. Thank you, Caroline. I will put links to my Pinterest and YouTube, all my YouTube. So all the Facebook lives go up onto YouTube as well. So if you're ever looking for those, you will find them all housed over there. And I'm trying to do a few more YouTube videos that are exclusively for Facebook as well. Oh, Emma! I think we should have a party. Emma's just became my 100th follower. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Let's party, let's party. Thank you. I've got a long way to go to catch up with lots of people, but I am trying, very trying. But I've needed to sort of do some bits, do a bit more tagging, do a bit more sort of tagging things so that makes easier for people for my things to pop up when people search and those sorts of things. So it's going to be quite a task because I've got quite a lot of pins on there. And as I say, I do want to tidy it up. There'll be some that will just be abandoned where they are because they've been there so long. And the stamp sets and things that I've used are long gone. That doesn't mean that people won't still search for them and find them, but yeah, we need to work on it. So Pinterest I'm working on. I've also got to say this launch event. So with my launch event, I will be coming in a few times a day. I will show you what I was doing yesterday. This mass coloured thing is my day planned out. And where you can see the bright pink highlights, that's the points at which I'm coming live onto my Facebook page. So I'm coming live throughout the day to do live demos with some of the sweets and things I've got. I will do a live walkthrough of the catalogue. But also if you are one of my customers, or if you'd like to be one of my customers, I've got my VIP customer group, and over on there will also be some quizzes and games and giveaways and things going on. So yeah, lots going on. That's next Wednesday. So there will be a 9 o'clock live, but that will be the catalogue walkthrough. But then there will be lives going on the rest of the day as well. But I will be, hi Angie, they will all get uploaded to, as well as sitting on Facebook groups, they'll all get uploaded to my YouTube as well. So that as and when you treat yourself to new sweets, if you want to go back and look at what I've done, you'll be able to. Come along, little glue. You know when you think that there's possibly a little blobby blockage in your glue, and at some point it's going to pop and it's all going to swidge out. That is what I am feeling may happen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stick that on there like that. And then I'm going to stick it on the front there at a bit of an angle. So obviously I do not expect everybody to be with me for 24, well it's not 24 hours, 12 hours. I'm starting at 9 in the morning and I'm finishing at 9 at night. Coming on live every couple of hours or so. To stick that on there like that, which looks very odd at this moment, but then I'm going to take my scissors. All your purple girls, are you? Everybody has their colours. I always find that interesting when people say to me, what colour, well, you know, I'm starting out, what colours should I get? Well, actually that really depends. What are your colours? So there we are. We're going to trim that down. So now we've got a bit of a sort of a wonky border going on there. It just sort of, it's a bit quirky. But I also want to put some butterflies on there, just because I think we should. So let's bring in our butterfly punch. I'm going to look in the front pocket of my bag on my Stamparatus. I do have little templates that I have previously made. They don't all tend to get kept, but there we are. There is one there. Look, there is a butterfly one. It's got sort of stamping and sorts of things on it, but that doesn't matter. We don't need it to be beautiful. We're just using it as a template. So we have a previously punched out butterflies. Does this actually matter as to which way round it goes, or is it completely symmetrical? I don't think it matters particularly. So what we're going to do is bring back in our Stamparatus and put our template in place. It doesn't really matter where that goes. And then we're going to pick out the two stamps that coordinate with this punch. So it's that one and that one. And what we're going to do with those is we're going to sit them in place in our template. Ooh, that one's stickier than the other one. And when we're happy that they're in place, we'll pick them up, and then we'll just grab scrap piece of Whisper White card. Ooh. And punch out our butterflies and lay one there and one there. So we now have our butterflies punched, ready to be stamped. A stamp in place. Now then, what colours should we do our butterflies? Because obviously we want them to stand out from our background. Actually, I'm going to go Flirty Flamingo and Crushed Curry. Let's have a look what they look like. Now let's bring back in our stamp set. Two reasons: it gives something for us to lean on just here, and it also means we can look at those pictures on here to see what we've got. Now there is going to be white space left in these stamps because just of the way the stamp is. I think I'm going to come in, I'm going to take that crushed curry outwards. I knew that was going to happen. We'll have take a piece of basic black for the centre body piece. We'll take our flirty flamingo and actually bring in another colour. See, what I might do is take that flirty flamingo, say that with your teeth in, out to the edges. See how that's going. Then what I think we'll do is we'll bring in just a touch of gorgeous grape sort of along the centre there. That's rather pretty, isn't it? Right, little one, come back. Let's come down the middle with some black. And again, we'll have a bit of now where that black is wet, that has blended a little bit, but actually that's not unpleasant. And I'm going to go over in flirty flamingo. And then again, put that back in its, nest it back in its little hole, and then just a smidge of the gorgeous grape coming down there. Beautiful. Hi Wendy. So for those of you that weren't here when I said, we're going for All Request Friday tomorrow, so I need suggestions of a stamp set you would like me to feature, or a technique, or a particular fancy fold. What do you fancy me having a go at tomorrow? What would you like to see? So it wants to be a stamp set that hopefully is carrying over into the new catalogue. I can soon tell you if you've got one that you fancy whether it is. Right, so I'm going to put a couple of dimensionals on the back of there. This one here, and then we've got this little guy. We'll have coming down here. Oh, we've got a smudgy bit of glue on there. And let's just grab my smudgy bit of glue eraser and get rid of that. And then we just want, what shall we have? Again, I've got a few of these Noble Peacock rhinestones left. I know these are retiring, but again, we could bring in our Stampin' Blends and colour rhinestones if we wanted to. But I will just use some of these up. For now, we'll just put a few little purple rhinestones on there. So there. So that's using that beautiful Butterfly Wishes stamp set and our Stamparatus to get those multicoloured images, or so that one stamp multicoloured by using our Stampin' Right markers and colouring onto our stamp. So if you don't have the markers, as I say, you could do that with something like a sponge dauber. You might be able to pick up enough colour with a blender pen. Might be worth having a go. But yeah, so that's relatively simple, not very fussy at all. We just put that sort of bit of a wonky angle on it, but it is quite pretty, isn't it? We could add in some wink of Stella or all of those sorts of things if you wanted to, but I'm going to just leave it as it is. And then we're going to have a play with, this is something new that I've not yet used. So I'm going to take a piece of Purple Posy cardstock. So we're going for the currant in colours. And this is a new stamp set called, die set called Many Medallions. Now there's a really nice greeting stamp set that goes with this. So you get this gorgeous die that does this big medallion grid. You've also got these borders, and then you get this fabulous stamp set, and look at these just waiting to be coloured in. But yeah, just thinking of you, get well soon, happy anniversary, celebrate. I love this, get well soon, better yet, so happy for you and also slightly jealous. There's on your retirement, that's unusual to have a retirement one. I'm glad you were born. So yeah, today's all about you. So let's have a play. As I say, I have not first run out for this particular die. Let's see what this baby can do. Right. This needs to be about 11 centimetres by yeah, about 14. Leave that lengthwise. Let's just cut this 11 centimetres and that will be big enough. So, are we ready to see what this does? Ooh. Right, I'm actually going to bring my big shot over just because I know I don't always. I want you to see that I am actually cutting this out, but I have faith that it's going to work. Obviously, there are occasions when dies, you know, have got faults in them and things. That could happen anywhere, but we'll see how many times we have to run it through. That's a very fancy die. I would not expect to run that through once and for it to have cut out that image. It also depends on your die cutting machine. That's not looking bad, but I think there is, so we've done that twice. I think there is a little spot just in the middle here. Can you see where I'm looking? There's a couple of spots where that's not quite come all the way through. Can you see how it looks really clean cut there but not there? And that will have more to do with my machine than it will do. Your machines all tend to have bits of sweet spots on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that back in the die. Turned it over. I'm going to put my top plate over it. Now, a bit worried that that might have moved. No, I don't think it has. I think it was the whole die that moved, not the cut within the die. And then we will bring it through with the die facing upwards. and we'll take it back, and I can already see bits of that popping out, and without very much effort at all. You can see that that is popping out. So no tricks. I haven't run it through 20 times to one side, and that's, as I say, it's the first time I've used this die, so it's great confidence that it would work beautifully, and it has. That's really pretty, isn't it? Let's just get these little bits out. There's just some of these little spots that are still hanging on in there. Don't want to quite come out. Not that they're not cut, they're just hanging in. We could have gone over with our brush. That would probably have brushed them out as well. And that one, couple there, and then just here. Right. Oh, and look at that die, beautifully clean now. There's no bits stuck in it, but we do have rather a lot of bits tucked there on our big shot. Let me just swoosh those into my little bin. Right, let's move that back out the way for now, and let's have a little look at what we've got. That is very pretty, isn't it? Lovely. So we can use it as a complete mat. We could take our scissors, we could have a square, bigger square again. We could have a strip. Obviously we've got a strip similar to that. It's not quite the same, I don't think, but a similar looking strip just there. But we could have a strip of this one. We could cut them up and have lots of strips going down one way. That's really lovely. Let me cut this card down to a card base size. Actually, I think I might make this a mat, and we'll get a Whisper White card base. So I've cut that down so that it is 14.4 by 10. So you can see that now our mat is slightly bigger. Let me have a look. I'm just going to bring in the card base that we cut. It will just, so if you were having a card base, so a standard card base with A4 metric card, that will just sit side to side, look. But because we've cut this down as a mat, we are going to need to get our scissors and do a bit of trimming. That one we'll do straight. Okay. Now what we could have done, because I've cut those straight and not zigzaggy like that side, what I might do is have those on the side like that. Okay, let me grab a piece of Whisper White card to create our card base. call that a 10.5. Put that upwards because our mat will cover that then. Pretty pretty. Yep, I think we'll bring in some of that ribbon to come down there. So let's stick this together. Let's stick that on there first. Now again, what I could have done is cut this out with some of the double-sided sticky sheets. I do still have some from when they retired before, but we are getting double-sided adhesive sheets back, so we will once again be able to do that. And for this sort of a card, they're brilliant because it saves gluing all these little bits. I'll just put a little blob in the centre of all those. Sort of flowery bits, and some around the outside. Have that coming down about there. Then we'll take this bit of ribbon. Oh. My double-sided sticky tape is sticking to my finger, and we'll bring this down here. Nice. We'll pop that up on some. Obviously at the moment we're just really creating our background. We haven't got anything to go on our card yet, but we will put that right in just a minute. Using up all the bits around the edges. Let's take those back pieces off. Where have we got to? Yep, I think those are all off now. Okay. Let's go with a get well soon. These have not even had their labels added yet, so I'll just take the backing off it. Get well soon. And we'll take the backing off our stump and then match the two up. There we are. Then we're all ready to cling. So we've got our get well soon. Just flicking through. We've got in our tasteful label. So this is the one of the new sets. That one's quite nice. I quite like the sort of geometric shape of that one. Can't get to where I need to be. The bit's falling all over the place. I'm going to grab a little bit of purple posy card out of my scrap box, and I think memento will go here. Get well soon. Let's just run that through the machine. Actually going to, am I? Yeah, that's pretty. Right, I'm going to grab my Rococo Rose ink pad. So this time we're not doing direct. Well, we might add in a touch of highlight, but we will mainly be going with the one colour, but we're going to do some more butterflies to go on there. There it is. That's what I'm looking for. Those are clean up. And then we will take a piece of our punch and some more Whisper White card. They'll just sneak out of there. So I think I'm going to do one big one and two little ones because we can. So let's put a big one and a little one in there. I'm going to dig out my black marker. So let's start with the Rococo Rose ink, and I'm just going to ink these up with Rococo Rose, and we'll stamp them both, and then we will see what we want to add in. So 1, 2. I'm actually going to change my mind on what pen I'm going to use in the centre. I'm going to go for basic grey just because it's slightly not quite so harsh. So it gives it that definition without being quite so harsh. Do we want any other colours on there? I'm going to do this other little one. What I might do is add some Wink of Stella to it. So I'm just going to ink up. It doesn't matter that the big one is likely to get inky as well, because that's just going to stamp into the gap onto my grid paper underneath. So I've now got quite a nice little butterfly on my grid paper. Go in and add in that body. Oh yes, doing lots of butterflies today, Karen. So let's just grab a Wink of Stella and that will drag that colour out slightly because it does also act like a bit of a water brush. That will just make them a little bit shiny. Not that it shows up particularly on camera. But I can see it. I know it's there. And last but not least, this little guy. And let's put this together. Okay, yep. And we'll bring this up and sit it so it sits just there. And then we'll bend these round a little bit. Just add some dimensionals behind those wings, sort of in the centre part. And we'll have that so the dimensionals are sitting off the label. And we'll have this little guy down here. And again, we'll just give him a bit of shape. This little one up here. So butterflies, just adding a little butterfly. You know, we all say about adding a butterfly to something if you've done something wrong, or just pop a butterfly on it. You certainly can do that. That certainly works. Covers up a multitude of sins. But they work rather beautifully as sort of a bit of a focal image point in their own right as well. I'm going to take some of these little pearls and I'm going to go dark purple posy, I think. So purple posy is one of those funny colours. It's a beautiful colour. Came out with the last year's ink colours, and then the ink pads behaved very strangely. There was something about the chemical makeup of the colour for the ink that meant it just never did. They were never able to get a stable solution. So I thought they cracked it on a couple of occasions. And in the end, the decision was made that they would just have to, or we'd all just have to accept the fact that we weren't going to have a purple posy ink pad. You can get purple posy stamping white markers. And funny enough, I didn't get the ink colours last year, and I don't know why. I need to put that right, really. But there are stamping white markers, so you can get a purple posy stamping blend. You can get a purple posy stamping blend. And obviously cardstock. And there's paper. So there's lots we can do. And actually, if you stamp off, if you take Highland Heather and stamp it off, use second generation, that's not a bad alternative either. So we found ways round it. I'm just going to put a few of these little purple posy pearls. I don't know what I've done to this pokey tool. It's bent at the end. I'm sure it's probably been used to get something out somewhere, or something it probably shouldn't have been done. I'll put one little one down there. So that die is gorgeous, isn't it, Caroline? So that was the first time I'd used the die, so that was a first play. So this lovely stamp set, you can either use it to create gorgeous cards in its own right, and I would show you the stamp set if I hadn't buried it somewhere. So we have our gorgeous stamp set that no doubt will come to light in just a minute. Can't be far away. Here it is. So the Butterfly Wishes stamp set. So in its own right, it's a beautiful stamp set. You've got these gorgeous blossoms, these lovely butterflies, and there's a couple of butterflies there that they're just stunning. They obviously don't punch out with a punch. These are the ones that punch out with a punch. But you've also got separate blossoms and leaves. Beautiful font on the greeting. So as a stamp set, it's gorgeous, and we used it to create that card just there. But then for this card, we use that really lovely die. So first run out for that, let that do most of the work, and then just added in some of those little butterflies with some Wink of Stella, a few little purple posy pearls, and we've got a pretty little get well card, get well soon. And I shall go on in a minute to stamp in the middle the Are You Better Yet, because I just think that's fabulous. Get well soon, better yet. We'll add that in the middle in a minute. So there we go. We had a play with Butterfly Wishes and our Stamparatus and a few other bits and new things. So do message me if there's something that you want to see tomorrow. If there's a stamp set you'd like to see me play with that's current or carrying over, or if there's a technique or something particular, some tool that you'd like me to say, you know, not seen that in use for a long time, could you have a play with that? But let me know, dies. Let me know if there's something. If not, I will think of something, and I'll be here in the morning anyway. So do go and check out my Pinterest board. Do go and subscribe to YouTube if you haven't already. Yeah, and if you are one of my customers or would like to be one of my customers and you're not yet a member of my VIP group, do message me and we'll get that sorted too. See you in the morning.